Good morning. I'm out in the greenhouse and I wanted to just give you a small lesson today on companion planting. So, there are really four reasons that we like to do companion planting, and I feel like it's become this buzzword and it's really sort of overemphasized in the garden. However, it can be supremely useful if you are ready to take one step beyond just getting everything planted out in your garden and take things a little more seriously so that your garden is more bountiful, has more success, and you can take on the brain space of adding in an additional layer. So the first year ever that I gardened, I grew a bunch of things in one pot, and tomatoes and bell peppers I had right next to each other. Now, some people say that these are good companions. However, I have personally found that they're not because they compete for nutrients. In that instance, what happened is I had this beautiful tomato plant and then this bell pepper plant with the tiniest little bell pepper on the planet. And what I realized is the bell pepper wasn't getting enough of what it needed because the tomato took over. That's an example of one way that plants are not compatible and they're not good companions. They're like foes, essentially. But the way to think about companion planting is in four parts. Number one is finding plants that complement each other well because of the way they interact with nutrients in the soil. So for example, beans add nitrogen to the soil, and you want to plant them with something that takes a lot of nitrogen out of the soil. There are going to be things that are not compatible. Those exact beans, for example, are not good to plant with garlic because of the way the garlic interacts with the soil and what the beans need. They're just not good companions. I have a great resource for you guys on all of this, a book that I'm highly going to recommend. It's not even my own book. It's like the Bible for companion planting. It's called Carrots Love Tomatoes, and I'll put a link in the show notes for you. But this is the number one thing to think about with companion planting is how are we complementing the primary crops that we have in our garden? Now, the second thing is using plants as trap plants. So using them essentially as a sacrificial lamb in the garden. These are plants that you're going to put in to complement and be good companions for your primary crops, but you're actually planning on having them fail because of pest damage. So one of the plants I love to use as a trap plant in the garden is nasturtium. She will draw in aphids and keep them away from your other plants. You can also do this with a primary crop. So for example, if you want to grow Brussels sprouts, you can plant one Brussels sprout in the garden 2 weeks in advance of everything else and let that plant be the sacrificial lamb that all the aphids flock to, inoculating the rest of your plants from that pressure for the most part. This doesn't work with everything, but it's a great way to add, calendula is another good trap plant. It's a great way to add flowers and plants into the garden, knowing that they're not gonna survive and that you are sacrificing those to nature. So number three for companion planting is planting companions that are going to keep bad pests away. So this is, for example, my favorite companion plants, strawberries and chives. The scent of the chives will keep some of those bad pests away and preserve your strawberries and keeping those really healthy. It's not really a matter of soil and nutrients in this case, it's that scent that's really giving things off. So onions and chives and even garlic are great companion plants, same for marigolds, simply because of their scent. So you can plant them with many things in the garden and just place them strategically depending on the crop that you're planting and the type of pest pressure that they get. Number four with companion planting is pollination. And this just comes down to planting beautiful flowers in the garden that you know are going to bring in pollinators and enhance the overall health of your garden. So nasturtium are going to act as a trap plant, but they are also going to be great for bringing in insects. But same thing for any perennials, any beautiful flowers, cosmos that you want to put in. Borage is a great plant we love to do with tomatoes, same with marigold. Some of these plants are doing double duty. They're bringing in bees and beneficial insects, and they're keeping things away that we don't want. Or they're bringing in beneficial insects like wasps that are gonna kill off other bugs. So there can be way more nuance to this when you come down to like which crop and what goes with it. But I just wanted to break down the primary principles of companion planting so that you can assess what's happening in your garden, the plants that you have, and tackle it from there. So picking up carrots love tomatoes is a great way to look at your garden, and as you're using your method of figuring out what you're planting, you can layer in plants or place them strategically based on who mixes well together and who doesn't, and use that as a starting point for getting your feet wet with companion planting. I hope this helps you, just a little video lesson to get things going and to get you thinking in the right direction.